Alright, before we get into this video, make sure you guys go check out all the coaches in the description below. I don't think I mentioned that in my first run through of this, so if you guys could do that, I'd appreciate you. Thank you. What is going on, everyone? My name is Mewtwo Fan Nate, and I am your coach of the New York Noibats for this season of the XBL. This is going to be my draft analysis for this league, and I'm actually recording this after week 1 has already been recorded, so it's kind of weird. I've never really done that kind of thing before, but that's what it is. School's been busy, so we do what we gotta do. We gotta stay on that grind, we gotta record at 3 a.m., which is what I'm doing right now, and we're kind of just gonna go into it. So pretty much my thought process when I had this draft was I want something that is very intimidating. I want someone to look at my team and be like, holy heck, how am I going to switch into all these different mons? And I think I did a really good job of doing that. I think I got all the mons that I wanted, everything that I needed. Nothing really got sniped for me, and I think that was cool. So the first mon that I wanted was Xtreme Black, and Xtreme Black is a really cool mon because it is very good stat-wise across the board, has a very good typing. It has really cool coverage moves for things that like to switch in on its stabs, like it gets Focus Blast, it gets Earth Power, so pretty cool coverage moves there. Also, just a little bit of a spoiler warning on my draft, I drafted the Icium Z Crystal, so I can really use that with Xtreme Black pretty well with the options for like Freeze Shock and Z Hail. I think Z Hail is going to be kind of cool, going to be pretty fun. And I really wanted to have a nice, powerful fire water grass core. I also wanted to have a nice dragon steel fairy core, and I think Xtreme Black is probably one of those really good mons that pair into it. I think it pairs pretty well, especially with the rest of the mons that I've drafted. I know Xtreme Black, it does have some of its weaknesses, being like fighting and dragon and fairy, and steel, and I think I paired really well around it. So I mean, Xtreme Black, it's massively good at wall breaking, whether it's on the physical side, mostly on the physical side, but also does it very well on the special side too. Base 120 special attack, and it gets like Draco Meteor, Dragon Pulse, Ice Beam, it gets Blizzard, Earth Power. On the physical side, it gets coverage in Fusion Bolt, which is kind of cool. It gets Flash Cannon for fairies too, and it's nice. I like it has the option for the bulky set with like Substitute and Roost and Toxic and things like that, and it gets like Reflect if I want to be a meme lord. But it's it's overall just a really solid mon, very scary, very intimidating, causes people to really prep for it, maybe even over prep for it, which is kind of cool. Now the next mon that I have is also a very good wall breaker. It's also very scary, very hard to switch into, and that mon is Tapu Bulu. And Tapu Bulu does start the process of a fairy steel dragon core and a fire water grass core, so it's good at fitting those roles on the team. It doesn't really get it doesn't really get any good like fairy type moves. It gets Dazzling Gleam and the Nature's Madness, which all the other Tapus get, but its real main feature that does it really well is that base 130 attack stat and its ability, the Grassy Surge, to give it that nice grassy terrain, which makes it have a nice couple of different moves and movesets that it can run, and it does it pretty well. I know it lacks with the speed with base 75, but it's overall like bulk, like defensive stats, like base 115 defense and base 95 spit def are pretty good, and you can kind of pair that with like Bulk Up or Calm Mind, or even if you want to run Swords Dance, you can run Swords Dance to be like more of an offensive threat. And then you have different options. My favorite set personally is like a substitute set, because you can just sub up, and then when your opponent switches out, then they are forced to like just take a massive hit afterwards, because you can kind of just do immediately like 50% to pretty much anything with either Nature's Madness, or you can just poke a real big hole with Wood Hammer. And I think that it's even cooler because now it has Focus Punch, which I think is new. I think it's a tutor move that I got access to. So the substitute set is actually really cool, and that's my favorite set. So I can actually run like a sub Focus Punch set, and I think that's probably even better because before I was running, like, I had to run like superpower to hit steel types, but that focus punch is going to be kind of cool with the substitute, and it hits harder than superpower, because I believe superpower is base 120 and the focus punch is base 150, so it's going to hit even harder. And I think that's going to be kind of cool. It also has options with like taunt, which is kind of cool. It also gets the synthesis now, and of course the threat of always running the leech seed, horn leech plus leftovers set can be very annoying, especially if you want to run it with like toxic. It just really wears down the opponent's team, and then you can just come in with a scarf for a really late game and then just clean up a lot easier. It does a really good job at like wearing things down with that kind of thing and just keeping its sustainability alive. You know, it gets some special moves with like Giga Drain, Energy Ball, Dazzling Gleam, but that's pretty much it. It gets Focus Blast, but other than that, not too many things. Now the next mon that I wanted to pair with these mons, the Kyurem Black and the Tapu Bulu, was a fire type, because they both struggle with killing the steel types that like to switch in on them. So I think I wanted to really get a nice powerful fire type that was very scary, very hard to switch into, and that's Victini. And I like Victini because it does have base 100s across the board, and that means that it can be ran bulky, it could be really offensive, it has access to V-Create, which is like one of the most strongest moves in the game, and gets stab on it. And I like its ability Victory Star too. I think it's definitely very underlooked, or you know, it's not really too focused on, I believe, because it's not like anything too crazy, but it definitely helps out because you can run like higher base power moves that have lower accuracy, and then you can kind of get a better accuracy on them so you can land those hits. So the thing I like about Victini is that it has very nice powerful stabs in its fire moves with like Blue Flare. It has Psychic, and then you have like really good coverage moves with like Bolt Strike and Thunderbolt and Energy Ball. You get Focus Blast for different fighting dark types, sorry, and then you get Flame Charge if you want to boost your own speed. You get Psy Shock, you get Shadow Ball, you get U-Turn, which is nice for momentum. You have Will-O-Wisp, you have Zen Headbutt for a physical move on the physical side. Charge Beam, it's got like a lot of different moves it can use, and I think it uses them pretty well. I think it also gets like Skill Swap or something like that, so that's kind of cool. Now, I do apologize if you guys hear some kind of like ringing occasionally through this video. My mom sleeps downstairs on the same level floor, and for whatever reason she likes to try to wake up at 3 a.m. but she never does, so her alarm just always go off. So if that's something in the background, I apologize. Now, the next mod that I wanted to get, because obviously you guys can see that we have Kyurem Black, Tapu Bulu, and Victini, very, very hard Pokemon to switch into. And the thing is, though, that they have a drawback to them, is that they're not that fast. They're all base 100 and below. So I wanted to get Galvantula, because Galvantula is a nice sticky web user. It sets up the webs, makes you know, anything that's grounded take that -1 speed drop anytime that it switches in. Now, I don't really know too much about this mod because I've never really used it before. I've actually never used the Kyurem before, and I've never used Victini. So the only one that I'm really familiar with on this draft is actually Tapu Bulu. So I do apologize if I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I do know a little bit about Mons, so I can kind of go I can kind of give you a general synopsis of why I've, you know, pretty much got everything that I got. But I like the Galvantula because it does pair pretty well with these Mons. Being able to set up the sticky web is clutch. The compound eyes for the thunder boost, the boost in the thunder accuracy, and you get like things like Energy Ball for coverage, Giga Drain. You get some really interesting like tactics with like Sucker Punch and Pursuit. I've seen Bill use the Pursuit on Gengar in the P4G against Kelly, and it actually like pretty much just took out all of Gengar's HP with Pursuit as it switched out on it, which was really cool. And I think that it has like some pretty decent stats. Base 108 is pretty fast, so we broke in the 100 and the base 100 speed barrier that we were struggling to get before with those last 3 mons. But we got webs too, so we're not even worried. So the next mon that we have drafted is Silvally, and Silvally is cool because it has a very nice new move that it got access to in Defog with the new tutors. It also has Parting Shot, so those 2 reasons alone are pretty much the reasons why I drafted it. But the fact that I can put on any kind of memory and change up its typing to any week to fit my team is going to be really clutch. It gets like Thunder Wave, it gets Swords Dance, it can fit so many different roles on this team. The fact that it's also base 95 and going to be under Sticky Webs means that it can run Adamant and things like that and be much more of a threat. Or modest, whatever I needed to do. I don't have to run a positive speed boosting nature every single week because it might not even need it. And I think this thing is going to be pretty clutch. I think it's going to be a staple on the team. I don't think it's going to be something I'm going to have to run every week because my team is pretty balanced. But I think the Parting Shot is going to be huge, especially letting some of my other mons come in and being able to come in on a mon that has already like its attack stats dropped. I don't know how I want to phrase that, but it's going to be pretty good mon for the team. Now I do have Defog down on the team, and I want to get something a little bit better than that, so that's why I got Rapid Spin. So that's why I drafted Donphan. So Donphan pretty much going to be a stealth rocker, a rapid spinner, and going to be hitting things pretty hard with that base 120 attack. It also has that base 120 defense and base 90 HP. So with the sturdy ability, it means that it is going to be living pretty much any kind of hit unless they have like Mold Breaker or anything like that. But it's pretty much just rocks guaranteed unless they can like taunt me. But it also has some really cool moves, like it gets Gunk Shot, it gets Ice Shard, it gets Heavy Slam, which is kind of cool for for another way to knock down fairies and things like that. But knockoff is clutch, Poison Jab, Play Rough, Seed Bomb, Superpower, Toxic, Seed. Like I think it said Seed Bomb. It also gets the setup options with Rock Polish, it gets Rock Slide, it gets Stone Edge, and it also gets Roar for roaring out certain threats. It also gets Curse. I don't know if that's like something that's going to be limited to like Gen 2, which I think is a thing, but it also gets like Natural Gift, so that's kind of cool. And it gets Fire Fang, Thunder Fang, so those are some pretty cool moves. Of course it gets that Stab, Earthquake, which is always going to be nice. But the real main thing to note about this team is that now we have some hazard removal. We have more hazards, so we have Sticky Webs, we got Stealth Rocks, and the mons that we have are looking really threatening. So if we can get up some rocks, set up some webs, we can really start poking holes with our wall breakers and clean up with maybe like Victini or something like that. Scarf Victini is really nice at cleaning up. Just click a move, or even like Bulu, just these mons can wall break, clean up, especially in their webs. They have that nice versatility to do different things, wall break, and both physically and especially offensive ways. And I think Donphan is going to help a lot with that kind of thing. So the next mon that I drafted was I wanted a water type, and I originally was going to grab the Tentacruel, but my friend Kyle in his league said that he wanted Tentacruel, and I wasn't about to snipe him. So I was like, just looking at other mons, and then all of a sudden I came across Quillfish, and I was like, yo, Quillfish is low-key pretty good. We got Intimidate, so that's gonna help the team. It's got a base 85 speed stat, so it's for a bulky-ish wall kind of mon, like bulky water, it's actually pretty fast. And the main thing is that it has Intimidate, and it gets so many different moves that it can use. Like it has like such a wide variety of like support moves with like Destiny Bond. It gets Haze for things that might want to set up. acid spray. Even though it's like an attack, it lowers your opponent's special defense by 2. The toxic spikes, the regular spikes, the thunder wave, the taunt. It's honestly just a really clutch mon. You can go for swords dances with this thing. You can set up. You can attack whether it's physically offensive or specially offensive. Not so more for wall breaking on the specially offensive side, but you have things like Scald to help fish for burns on certain things to help the rest of your team take physical type hits. The Destiny Bond is kind of cool because you can run a like Focus Sash one with like Destiny Bond, and then it really helps with maybe just taking out a certain threat on their team that you might have had a hard time taking out before. So I think this mon is going to be extremely versatile. I think it's going to be pretty clutch on this team. I think it's almost going to be a staple, and I know it sounds weird because Quillfish is like PU, it's not known for being very good, but with priority Aqua Jet and things like that, it becomes much more I think it becomes much more useful on this team, especially with like the whole, I think it's really good in this fire water core situation where I have Tapu Bulu, which kind of helps its ground weakness, and then Victini, which can also help its psychic weakness because it can just eat up like psychic type moves. And then with like grassy terrain up, then they both have easier time switching into things like Earthquake or Bulldoze, and it's kind of nice for that kind of thing. So the next thing that I really wanted, I wanted a fighting type, and I wanted a faster fighting type. I didn't want something that was going to be very slow. I wanted something that was going to be able to set up and be very scary. So I think like I was debating on whether or not I should get Lucario or Cobalion, but I decided that I needed a little bit more of a like support mon as well. Like I want something that could do more than one thing, and Cobalion kind of just fit that role because I was gonna originally go with Lucario because after learning that it was able to get Meteor Mash, I was like, oh man, that's so tempting to get. I really want to bring that into League format, and I just couldn't do it because I wanted something else that got Volt Switch or like some kind of momentum move. So now I have like Victini with U-turn, I have the Silvally with Parting Shot, and I got this guy with Volt Switch. So I think that's kind of, I needed a third mon, and I think that was good. And I also want something that can really set up, because the other mons that I have, they can set up in certain ways, whether it might be like Work Up or Swords Dance or Calm Mind. But Cobalion is a super threat when it sets up. Like, this thing sets up Agility or Rock Polish, and this thing can just go to work. It has like really good stats. It's very fast, base 108, close combat. It gets the Focus Blast on the special side, Poison Jab. Not that you really ever use that, but you get the Iron Head or Flash Cannon. You can set up both sides with it as well with Calm Mind. I'm not sure if I've already said that. Like I said before, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm a little tired, but it's overall very good mon. Gets Taunt, very good like lead mon with especially with like leading it. Maybe you got a Focus Sash, you can taunt something, set up your rocks, click Volt Switch. I think that's what really makes it a good mon, and it really fits well on the team. You got it paired with Tapu Bulu, which means that you have that nice support of grassy terrain, so you can have reduced damage from those earthquakes and things like that. So definitely cool. It also helps with as a knockoff switch in because of Justified. So if I have like Victini out or something like that and I'm fearing knockoff, I can go on to Cobalion and take that knockoff and then be like super threatening. I keep hearing things, it's kind of weird. And you take that knockoff, get that Justified boost, and then you're just even more of a threat. So the next mon that I wanted to have is a ghost type, and mostly because I have a fear of like things like Diggersby, and like ever since like the P4G when Dan was using that against me, I was just like, oh my god, this thing one shots my entire team. Well, now I have Misdreavus, and Misdreavus can kind of deal with Diggersby to an extent. It does, we'll take knockoffs, but it's not the only reason I'm drafting it. I just want something that can switch in on earthquakes a little bit easier to take some pressure off of like Tapu Bulu being like the one thing that I would need to bring like every single time to avoid getting like earthquake spammed. So it has levitate, and that's kind of cool, and it gets like different support moves. I think the best thing about it though is that it's a cleric with like heal bell, but I can also go with like Will-O-Wisp and Hex, and I have coverage with like Dazzling Gleam. It can set up with Calm Minds. It has Nasty Plot. It gets Power Gem. Shadow Ball, of course, gets the Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch for priority, Trick Room options, Trick options, Thunder Wave. It's overall just a solid mon, and it's very bulky with the Eviolite, which is I think is going to be pretty nice. And I think the skill swap ability could be really clutch. You know, we don't know what we're going to be using it for, but it's got definitely, you know, the fact that it's there is kind of cool. This thing also gets Zap Cannon, so it's kind of cool for like memes, and I definitely plan on running a meme week eventually. I'm hoping that my friend Kyle A, week 2 is going to be down for something like that, so I'm hoping that I can run some of these kind of spicy moves that don't have the 100% accurate, you know, kind of things. Like the fact that this thing gets Zap Cannon, and I think it's not Incinerate, is it? No, it's what is it? It gets the fire one, Inferno, and that's fun. So if I can land some of those, that'd be fun. And I think that's kind of cool. I actually really like this mon. It was one of the few mons that I actually caught as a legit shiny in Oras, so that's kind of cool. And we're going to move on to the next mon that I drafted, and that's Wigglytuff, because we were all required to draft a meme pick, and I thought Wigglytuff was a good one to pick, and it also fit pretty well on the team. Wigglytuff, as we know, has really booty defenses, base 45 defense and base 50 defense and base 45 speed, so it's not very good overall, but the thing that can make it kind of work is that it has a very ridiculously high HP stat with like base 140, and it also has a base 85 special attack stat, so it's not too terrible. But the thing that makes it kind of cool is that it has two pretty decent abilities with competitive and frisk, and what that does is, especially with competitive, is that I have a lot of mons on my team that can kind of stack hazards with like Cobalion and the Donphan with like Stealth Rocks, Quillfish getting both spikes and toxic spikes, and Galvantula with the sticky webs, and we can kind of just stack hazards, and then when your opponent wants to defog, and then you just switch this in, and then you get a competitive boost, and it's kind of cool, right? I think so. And that's pretty much really the reason why I drafted it, is because it's a meme and it gets coverage of up the butt, you know, really good coverage. Really, almost every single typing that I can think of, like Brick Break, it gets Flamethrower, it gets Grass Knot, it gets Ice Beam, it gets Knockoff, it gets Play Rough, it gets Shadow Ball, it gets Psychic, it gets Thunderbolt, like literally just almost everything that you need. It has it, so I think that's kind of cool. If I want to run something with like Misty Terrain for whatever reason, we got memes for that, and it literally gets Tickle. Its name is Tickle, so, and it gets Tickle, so that's something that I might have to run. And I think that's pretty much it for this thing. It gets Sweet Kiss, that's cool. I'm gonna run that one day. I swear. It gets Rollout, Role Play. This is a good mon. I don't care what anyone says. This is a really good mon. Icy Wind. Oh, we're running that. We're running something spicy with this thing. Bubble Beam. It's over. Anyway, the last mon that we have, it's after looking at the entirety of my draft, I was like, I don't really have any stab knockoff, so I wanted to draft Malamar. Malamar has Contrary, you know, Superpower knockoff, Night Slash, Psychic, Throat Chop. Really, pretty much anything that you can, you know, need it to do as far as like knocking off items. It has that, you know, just knock off, and you can Destiny Bond, and you can Flamethrower things if they have like a Scizor or not, you know, because it's 4 times weak to bug type move. So if it wants to switch in like a steel bug type or something like that, like Fortress, whatever, you know, you have that capability. It has Taunt, which is kind of nice if you want to bring it as like a Stealth Rock, Hazard, Stopper, has Hypnosis. But really, it's just going to be used to knock off things and then maybe get a contrary boosting sweep at the end. It has other abilities too with like Infiltrator, so that's kind of cool if my opponent has like the screens or something like that, and I can kind of just work around it with that. Switcheroo is kind of cool too. Switching items is kind of nice, but it's not like the best mod in the world, but it's definitely kind of niche in its own way. So that's gonna be the draft analysis. I know this was a little bit kind of swept through, but it is 3 o'clock in the morning and I have a final due tomorrow, and it's time for me to go to bed. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. I will see you guys later. Peace.